Hello everyone, I'm Kyla Trana, and for today, we will discuss the study entitled New Literacies or New Challenges, the development of the concept of literacy in the context of information and communication technologies, and the language teaching by Mahmoud Mohammad Said Abdallah. To continue, the study tackles about the concept of literacy in today's time where IC technologies exist. It questions the important concepts that we should take note of before considering someone to be literate. The definition of traditional literacy and the kind of literacy today is somehow different from each other because the basic skills such as reading, writing, or computing are not just the only skill that is essential for someone to function in their society in today's generation. This study also tries to answer the question, why is it essential to assimilate a new concept of literacy? The most common definition of a person if he or she is literate was to know if they know how to read, write, and calculate. But literacy is far different from what most of the people knows. Literacy is a wide concept that varies through many changes in human history and language development. It changes according to our functions, attitudes, and culture in the society where we live in. The changing of definition of being literate does not mean that we are taking away the importance of basic skill that we should have in the first place. It means that we are adding some significant skills that a person should be equipped of in order to fully function in the society. So here are the problems that this study tackles. The first one is, each year the demand of the society for the person's skills increases. Next, the changing of the idea of who is considered to be literate. The student needs new skills and strategies that they have not been familiar with. ICTs have affected education in general. And lastly, new skills and competencies are increasingly required for students to be competitive in the work market. Of course, this study also introduced their findings about the concept of literacy in today's time. Writing and reading develop its own symbolic representations of revolution and resistance. There are three major contributions that have greatly influenced and developed the concept of literacy. These are the invention of writing, invention of print, and dominance of IC technologies. It is also a must to be skilled at assessing, understanding, using and creating information through technology to pass the current expectation in the field. Today, one should know how to gather, analyze, and use information resources to be considered literate. Each teacher and educators should undermine the importance of reading and writing. One's ability to quickly locate a useful information into an important problems and then communicate it to others is a strong determinant of his or her success. Internet opens the minds of the student into many information, and this will necessitate the modification of the concept of literacy. To conclude, to be literate in the 21st century, a person should be constantly willing to learn and adapt to different areas of life, subject, and environment. Traditional literature is defined as being capable of reading, writing, and computing. But as years goes by, the demand of society increases. Every person should know how to adjust and equip to be able to cope up on different situations that we can encounter on our daily life or even in our workplace. The article above states that in today's digital world, being literate is not enough anymore. It is important for us to be digitally literate as well, but still giving an importance into the basic skills of reading, writing, and computing. So how? These are the recommendations. The first one is be a constant learner. Second, take advantage to the internet and other resources to learn and develop your skills independently. Third, adapt on the current demands that your society has. Use your time wisely and invest on experiences because you will benefit from it in the future. And lastly, consider learning beyond what you already know are capable of doing. How the study affects me as a future teacher, and how would I use this information and findings, especially in the classroom? As a future teacher, this study made me realize the importance of applying teaching methods and strategies that were appropriate for the students to mold their skills to be able to be fitted in the society they are in. A teacher should not simply teach the lesson just to follow what the curriculum says. A real teacher uses their knowledge on all sorts of things that they knew to be able to nurture their students' personality and characteristics to prepare them on their future profession. I learned that it is possible to apply many soft skills and literature skills into one lesson as long as it is more relevant for the students to learn. A relevant discussion inside the classroom makes the students more engaged and motivated in learning. I will make sure that I am well equipped of the knowledge that I would want to impart to my students. I will do my best to align my lessons, activities, and discussion inside the classroom on how would I want to develop my students' skills to function in the society's demand for them to be called literate. This study greatly affected my belief as a future teacher. It made me realize much more of the responsibilities and skills that I should be equipped of in order to cater my students' needs. So here are my own recommendations for the teachers in the future generation. Be mindful and knowledgeable of the culture, beliefs, attitudes, and demands that the society where your school has. Second, be flexible enough to adapt on the modern or new literacies that may become required in your present generation. Next, make your activities, lessons, and discussions relevant. Make your activities, lessons, and discussions engaging and motivating for the students to learn. Next, make impact on your discussion about how important it was to be able to do the basic skills to be literate. And lastly, say the experiences that you can share to your students to inspire them. And for the students, be mindful and knowledgeable of the culture, beliefs, attitude, and demands that the society has. Be flexible enough to adapt on modern or new literacies. Always be willing to learn and develop your skills. Make use of the internet and other available resources to learn. And lastly, try to also become an independent learner. Isaiah chapter 29 verses 12 to 13 says, "Or if you give the scroll to someone who cannot read and say, 'Read this please,' they will answer, 'I don't know how to read.' The Lord says, 'These people come near to me with their mouth and honor me with their lips, but their heart are far from me. Their worship of me is based on merely human rules they have been taught.'" So that's all for today's discussion. Thank you for listening.